Tonight's story isn't a legend, and it isn't a campfire myth. It's a first-hand account, and what you're about to hear was never meant to be shared. If you're listening late at night, you may want to turn on a light. If you hear something outside while this is playing, pause it, because some things don't like being spoke of, and some things are lured when they are. I need you to understand something about me before I tell you what happened. I'm not dramatic, I don't exaggerate, I don't scare easily. I'm the kind of guy who locks his doors out of habit, not fear. I'm 26 years old, I work with my hands, and I've spent most of my life outdoors. I grew up around woods. I know the difference between normal noises and wrong ones. What I heard in the mountains of West Virginia was wrong in a way that doesn't leave you. I went there alone because I thought being alone would help me think. My father had died 6 months earlier, and I hadn't processed it the way people expect you to. I didn't cry at the funeral, I didn't break down, I just felt hollow, like something had been scooped out of me and left to rot. When the lawyer called about the land my dad owned in West Virginia, I said yes immediately. I didn't even know why. 40 acres deep in the mountains, passed down through our family with a cabin my dad built himself before I was born. I hadn't been there since I was a teenager. I remembered trees, cold streams, and my dad telling me never to wander too far from the cabin after dark. He always said it with a smile, like a joke, but his eyes never matched it. The drive down felt longer than it should have. Cell service vanished miles before I reached the turnoff. The road narrowed until it was barely more than dirt and rock winding between trees that leaned inward like they were trying to close behind me. When I finally parked at the cabin, the silence hit me so hard it felt physical. No bugs, no birds, no wind, just stillness, thick and heavy, like the air was waiting for something to move first. The cabin looked exactly the same, weathered wood, rusted hinges, and my dad's old axe still buried in the chopping block. I unlocked the door, and the smell inside made my chest tighten. Damp wood, old iron, and something faintly sour underneath it all. I told myself it was just age and neglect. I dropped my bag, lit a lantern, and tried to relax. Night came fast. By 10, the woods outside were pitch black. Not the normal kind of dark where you can still make out shapes. This was the kind that swallowed the lantern light a few feet from the porch. I sat inside, drinking a beer, listening to the cabin creak as it settled. Every sound felt amplified. When a branch snapped somewhere far off, my shoulders tensed. When something heavy moved through the underbrush, slow and deliberate, my heart started to race. I told myself it was a deer. I told myself a lot of things that weekend. The first knock came just before 3 in the morning, not on the door, but from the woods. 3 dull, hollow sounds, evenly spaced, like someone knocking on a thick tree trunk. I sat straight up in my chair, beer forgotten. I waited, barely breathing. 30 seconds passed, then a minute. I was just starting to convince myself I imagined it when it happened again. Same rhythm, same distance, not closer, not farther. I grabbed the flashlight and stepped onto the porch. The beam cut through the trees, catching fog low to the ground, rolling between the trunks like smoke. That's when I smelled it. Oh, the smell of wet fur, rotting leaves, something coppery like blood from a decomposing animal that had been sitting out in the elements too long. My stomach turned. Then, I swear I heard my name, drawn out, broken, like it had been pulled apart and stitched together badly. I froze. The voice came from the tree line, deep enough that I felt it in my chest more than I heard it in my ears. I whispered back before I could stop myself. That was a mistake. The moment my voice left my mouth, the woods responded. Branches shifted. Something heavy moved forward, slow and heavy. The smell intensified. The flashlight beam caught movement between the trees, and then it stepped into the open. It stood taller than any man I'd ever seen, shoulders hunched, head brushing branches that should have been well above it. Its body was covered in dark hair, but not thick like an animal's, patchy, matted, clumped together with what looked to be dried blood and dirt. Its arms hung too long, hands dangling near its knees, fingers flexing slowly like it was testing them. Its chest rose and fell with deep, wet breaths. Its face is what still visits me in my sleep. Flat nose, crushed in like it had been broken more than once. Eyes set deep and close together, reflecting the light like glass. Its mouth hung open slightly, lips cracked and split, teeth uneven and wrong, some blunt, some sharp, some broken down to yellow stumps. When it saw me, it tilted its head and tried to smile.
I say tried because the muscles didn't work right. The expression pulled too wide, stretching the skin until it split at the corners. It took a step closer, and the ground thudded under its weight. "You came back," it said. The words were slow, deliberate, but broken like each one had to be forced through a throat not built for speech. I couldn't move. My legs locked. My hands shook so badly the flashlight bounced wildly. "He always came back," it added. Was it talking about my father? That's when I ran inside. I slammed the cabin door and threw the bolt just as something massive hit the wall from the outside. The entire structure shuddered. Dust fell from the rafters. I stumbled backward, heart pounding so hard it hurt. I heard it moving around the cabin, footsteps heavy and unhurried, circling. Its breathing pressed through the walls, slow and patient, like it knew I couldn't go anywhere. Then the scratching started. Long nails dragged down the logs, carving deep grooves in the wood. I could hear the fibers tearing. The sound made my teeth ache. "He hid too," it said softly. Didn't help him. I screamed for it to go away. The scratching stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then it laughed, a low, rumbling sound that vibrated through the floorboards. Something slammed into the door. A crack split the wood near the frame. I grabbed the knife from my bag and backed into the corner, shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The door bowed inward under another blow. Splinters flew. Through the crack, I saw its fingers forcing their way inside, long, thick, nails black and curved. It paused as it sniffed the air. "You smell like him," it said. The pressure vanished suddenly. I collapsed to the floor, gasping. I didn't sleep. I sat there until dawn, knife in my hand, eyes burning, listening to the woods breathe. When the sun came up, the silence returned. I stepped outside and nearly vomited. The porch was destroyed. Deep footprints sank into the dirt, toes long and splayed, pressed so deep they cracked roots. Scratches covered the cabin walls, all facing inward, like something had tried to claw its way inside. Nailed to the door was a rusted railroad spike, my father's old flannel, the one he was buried in. How? What did it mean? I should have left then. God, why didn't I leave? That night, it came back sooner, as if it couldn't wait any longer. The knocking moved around the cabin, circling closer each time. I heard footsteps matching mine as I paced inside of the cabin. I heard breathing when I held my breath. The smell seeped through the walls, thick enough to choke on. Then it spoke again, closer now, clearer. "He fed me," it said. "You will too." Images flooded my mind, memories that weren't mine. My father, younger, injured and trapped after a fall deep in the woods. This thing standing over him, watching him, learning his voice, learning his habits. I snapped back. The door splintered inward. It reached through the gap and grabbed my arm. Its skin was hot and slick, like muscle exposed to air. I screamed and stabbed blindly. The knife sank deep into its forearm. Thick, dark blood spilled onto the floor. It laughed and let go. I crashed out of one of the windows and I ran. I don't remember how long I ran. I don't remember falling or climbing or screaming. I remember the sound of it behind me, unhurried, letting me go like it wanted me to survive. It wanted me to remember. Somehow, I made it out and contacted the local police. They found the cabin empty. No creature, no blood, just scratches and a smell that never went away. I don't live near the woods anymore, but sometimes, late at night, I hear knocking 3 times from the trees outside my apartment, and sometimes I hear my father's voice asking me to come outside. If this story made you uncomfortable, that's good. Some encounters don't end when you leave the mountains. If you hear something calling your name tonight, don't answer. And remember, DarkFrame is always watching the dark with you.